William was an ordinary man with an ordinary life. He lived in a small, tidy house in a quiet neighborhood. Every morning, he would rise early, commute to his job at the local insurance company, and return home to his wife and 2 children. It was a good life, one that many would envy, but deep down, William felt a burning desire for more. He had dreams of grandeur that danced in his mind like flickering shadows, tempting him to reach beyond the limits of his mundane existence. Every day, he watched as wealth and success surrounded him. He observed his neighbors who drove flashy cars and threw extravagant parties. He listened to their tales of luxury vacations and extravagant shopping sprees. The envy gnawed at him, fueling an obsession that consumed his thoughts. He wanted to be rich, not just comfortably wealthy, but immensely rich, with power and influence that would place him above the ordinary masses. One fateful evening, as he sat alone in a dimly lit bar nursing a drink, he overheard a conversation between 2 men at the next table. They spoke in hushed tones about a mysterious figure known as the broker. Rumor had it that he had the power to grant people their deepest desires for a price. Intrigued and desperate, William's heart raced at the thought of what he could achieve. He could have the wealth he so desperately craved. After weeks of contemplation and sleepless nights, William finally decided to seek out the broker. He found the man in a shadowy alley behind the bar. The broker was an enigmatic figure, cloaked in darkness with piercing eyes that seemed to see right through William's soul. The man's presence was both alluring and unsettling. "What do you seek?" the broker asked, his voice smooth and hypnotic. "I want to be rich," William replied, barely able to contain his excitement. "I want to have everything: money, power, respect." The broker leaned closer, a knowing smile creeping across his lips. "Wealth can be yours, but it comes with a price. You must be willing to sacrifice something of great value." William hesitated for a moment, considering the implications. But the lure of wealth was too strong. He quickly agreed to the terms, believing he could handle whatever cost lay ahead. He didn't understand the true nature of the bargain he was making. In the weeks that followed, William's life transformed dramatically. He received an unexpected promotion at work, landing lucrative contracts that propelled him to the top. His bank account swelled as money flowed in, from various investments that seemed to succeed without effort. Soon, he purchased a sprawling mansion on the outskirts of town, complete with luxurious furnishings and a beautiful garden. Friends who had once ignored him now flocked to his side, eager to bask in his newfound success. However, with the rising tide of wealth came an unsettling darkness. It began with small occurrences, objects shifting in his house, doors creaking open on their own, shadows flitting just out of sight. At first, William dismissed these happenings as figments of his imagination, or the quirks of an old house. But the disturbances escalated. Whispers echoed through the halls at night, chilling his blood and robbing him of sleep. "William," he heard one voice say, barely above a whisper, "what have you done?" Night after night, he found himself plagued by nightmares. Dark figures loomed in the corners of his mind, their hollow eyes watching him as he slept. He awoke in cold sweats, terrified of what awaited him in the waking world. His family noticed the change in him, the way he recoiled at sudden noises and jumped at shadows. "Were you out late again?" his wife asked one evening, concern etched on her face. "You look exhausted." "I'm fine," he lied, forcing a smile that felt more like a grimace. "Just working hard. You know how it is." But deep down, he knew that his sanity was slipping. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, and they seemed to come from within the walls of his home. They echoed his name, calling him to remember the cost of his wealth. The shadows danced with glee, and he felt their presence closing in on him. One evening, as he stood in front of the bathroom mirror, he caught a glimpse of something that froze his blood. Behind him, a figure loomed, a pale, gaunt visage with hollow eyes and a gaping mouth that seemed to scream. He spun around, but the room was empty. Heart racing, he splashed water on his face, desperate to wash away the terror that clung to him. Days turned into weeks, and the weight of his riches grew heavier. The mansion he had once loved now felt like a prison, its walls closing in on him. He began to isolate himself, pushing away friends and family who wanted to reach out. He was haunted by the knowledge that his wealth had come at a terrible price. He could feel the shadows creeping closer, could hear the whispers more distinctly now, taunting him, reminding him of his bargain. The final straw came one stormy night. Lightning illuminated the room, casting eerie shadows across the walls. As thunder boomed outside, William sat alone in the darkened living room, trembling. The whispers grew deafening, a cacophony of voices that echoed in his mind. "You cannot escape," they chanted. "You owe us." Panicking, William stumbled out of the room, running through the dimly lit halls of his mansion. The shadows stretched and twisted, reaching for him, pulling him back toward the source of his terror. Desperate, he grabbed his phone and tried to call for help, but the line was dead. "Why won't anyone help me?" he shouted, his voice cracking with fear. Just then, the lights flickered and went out, plunging the house into darkness. The whispers morphed into sinister laughter, and he could feel the icy breath of the shadows wrapping around him. It was then he realized that he had traded his soul for wealth, and now he was paying the ultimate price. In the early hours of the morning, William was found slumped on the floor of his living room, lifeless. The expression on his face was one of pure terror, frozen in a moment of absolute dread. His family arrived to find the mansion eerily quiet, the atmosphere heavy with an unsettling presence. As the authorities investigated, they discovered that William had made a series of strange financial transactions